Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Wells College Spring Open House. Focus of this session is choosing a major, our exploratory program, and support services and resources for students. We're very pleased to have you with us today. My name is Gerard Turbide. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment. And first, I want to say to all of our admitted students, congratulations. What a wonderful journey, and we know you've worked very hard to get to this point. And for any parents and family members in the audience, my congratulations to you as well. It's a little bit rainy and misty today here in Aurora, New York, but still a beautiful day. And Wells College is set in this peaceful little village right on the shore of Cayuga Lake. It's the longest of the Finger Lakes. We're glad to have you with us. So what's your major? It's probably one of the most cliche questions you can ask a college student. It's a topic of great discussion and debate. Does it matter what you major in? Is it okay to change your major? Does your major determine what you can and can't do in your professional life? Is it okay to start college without a major? And what does it mean to be a successful student? We measure that by GPA, grade point average. How do I know if I'm truly succeeding in college? What steps can I take to ensure that I stay on track? And who can I turn to if I need help? At Wells, we're all about your bright future, and that means supporting you in your success. We have a mission at Wells. It's to teach you to think critically, reason wisely, act humanely as you cultivate your meaningful life. And we contribute to your success in a variety of ways. Just the way we're structured is something that sets you up for success. You're going to get unmatched personal attention at Wells. We have a 9-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Small classes, individual advising to help you plan and prepare for your future, a diverse range of academic programs to choose from, the ability to create your own major, and as we've mentioned, an exploratory program for students who've yet to decide, all on a campus where everybody seems to be on a first-name basis. Wells College is small, fewer than 400 students, yet small is powerful. And so we can do everything one student at a time. We can guarantee you're going to have close, meaningful connections with faculty. We can assure you that you're going to have access to our resources and programs, and we will hear your voice in and out of the classroom. We care about every one of our students, and before you know it, you'll become part of a network of Wells College alumni who span the globe, yet still consider Wells to be their home. Wells College provides everything you'd expect from a top-tier liberal arts college: stellar faculty, academic rigor, those things that develop the life of the mind. And our curriculum goes beyond the liberal arts, blending real-world experiences. So every student at Wells pursues internships or experiential learning of one type or another. You can even do an internship at the end of your first semester. We have innovative academic programs that offer interdisciplinary, career-oriented experiences. So whatever you choose to study, you'll gain the knowledge and skills you need to be successful. And we are a community with over 150 years of history and traditions. Wells College has a real living honor code that our students sign their names to when they decide to join the Wells family. And our students and alumni seek to bring the principles of the honor code out into the world. You're on an exciting journey, about to make one of the most important decisions ever: which college is going to prepare you best for your future. May 1 is right around the corner. In fact, it's in just 2 days, and that's college decision day. And we hope by then you'll know and be planning to attend Wells College. So we hope we'll hear from you by then. And it's been an extraordinary year, a very challenging year. So if you need a conversation, if you need more time or help thinking those things through, we're here for you. I also want to remind you that we're open. As we speak, our students are here on campus. They are doing presentations and culminating the end of their studies here. They're eating in the dining halls, taking their final exams here at their home away from home. And we are offering in-person campus visits, various options that you can sign up for, including visits on Fridays and Saturdays. Our visits are properly socially distant, and we look forward to safely welcoming you to campus. We also have some additional virtual events coming up, including opportunities to meet some of our alumni and also go in depth about student life. So let's have a meaningful conversation about Wells College. We've assembled a panel to represent the Wells family and give you deeper insights into our exploratory program, the process, if you will, of deciding upon a major, and how we support your student success at Wells.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stefan Braco. I'm a first-year student at Wells College, going to be a sophomore next semester. I'm in the exploratory program, so I have not declared a major at this point in time. I'm from Ghana in West Africa. My academic interests are, interested in the arts, business, and education courses, and my hobbies are singing and watching movies. Currently, I'm not in any clubs or organizations on campus, but next semester I hope to join Henry's VI, which is a cappella singing group, because of my love for music.
Hi, I'm Diamond Benson. I am a senior. I am double majoring in political science and sociology and anthropology. I have been a first year RA for the past 3 years. I am a current member of Umoja, and I was once president of the club. I have worked Phonathon, and it's where we get to talk to alums and make connections with alumni. It's a really fun time. And I also recently was just manager of Phonathon. And I also used to, my freshman year, worked with an advancement and alumni, our advancement and alumni relations office. And I also had an opportunity to talk to alums. And overall, I've just kind of dibbled and dabbled all throughout campus. So, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Amari Kelly. I'm a senior here at Wells. I am majoring in political science. Throughout my time here at Wells, I've been a part of strategic planning, which was a collaborative effort between administration and students here. So that was a very important experience to me. I'm also a peer tutor at the Writing Center. I've held that position since spring semester, my junior year. Earlier on in my Wells career, I was a member of the men's basketball team from 2017 to 2018, and then the first half of 2018. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
Howdy, I'm Nash. I'm a sophomore here at Wells. I am a double major in Women and Gender Studies and Sustainability with a minor in business. I am all over this campus. I'm very happy to be a Wellsian. I am a up and coming online song happy, which is essentially I get to lead the biggest and best tradition here on campus into Victory next fall. I'm a tour guide here at Wells. I love working in Pettibone, which is our admissions and advancement building. Everyone there is absolutely lovely. I am in the environmental activism club, which is Campus Greens. I ring the bells here at Wells to signify dinner every night. And I'm just more than happy to be here. I'm also a very happy member of the Wells College swim team. And if you have any questions about it, we are always looking for more people to join us.
Hello, so I'm Emily Madison. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Success and Coordinator of Disability Services here at Wells. I'm from the Rochester area by nature, so I was drawn to Wells because of that. My background is in higher ed and anthropology, and I'm heading into my second year at Wells. Hard to believe. I'm super passionate about supporting our students, especially students with disabilities, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Galbato. I'm the Director of Academic and Career Advising. And some of the things that my office is involved in include coordinating the Exploratory program, as well as traditional career services, internship coordination, and academic advising efforts. And I'm really looking forward to speaking with you today.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here this afternoon. I'm Cindy Speaker. I'm the college's provost and dean of the college. So what that basically means is I'm the college's chief academic officer. I'm responsible for all areas of students' educational experience in and outside of the classroom. And I think I'd like to talk a little bit about what I think makes the WELS education distinct as a starting point for our conversation this afternoon. At WELS, we're really able to provide a personalized approach to education. We really know our students. Gerard mentioned our small student to faculty ratio. That's a piece of it, but it's not just our faculty getting to know our students, it's our entire campus community getting to know our students. And you really do become part of the WELS family. So whether you've known what you wanted to major in since you were 10, or you change your mind every other day, we're really here to help you figure out what it is that you're really interested and passionate about. And we're here to help you plan your journey through your collegiate education, and be prepared to help you in terms of our faculty and our staff, to explore those interests that you have, to set your path and to change the path if necessary. And every student on campus has a really individualized path through their WELS experience. They're not the same, even if you're in the same major. And so I think you'll hear a little bit about that this afternoon, as some of our students on the panel are in the same majors, but they've done different things, right? They have different interests in terms of those disciplines. They have different career goals. And we're really able to provide resources and opportunities for our students to explore their interests, to get hands-on experience, so that you can actually apply what you're learning in your courses, be it an internship experience or some work experience on campus. And we have the resources here in terms of the human resources to help you. Our staff, our faculty, our peer tutors, our resident advisors, peer advisors in the residence halls are all here to help our students be able to achieve their goals and experience their education fully. We always like to talk about how smart people use their resources, and one of our best resources are our human resources. So I'm eager to engage in a conversation with you this afternoon, have you hear about the type of educational experience what we're able to provide and the resources that we do have on campus for you.
Okay, so I would like to tell you a little bit more about the Exploratory program. Really what that means is that maybe you come to campus with some ideas of what you might like to pursue academically, but you're just not ready to solidify that decision. And it's hard to until you've had the opportunity to take some courses, not just in disciplines that you're already familiar with, but maybe some things you really haven't even heard of yet. So, the invitation is that it's okay to come on board without having that major defined yet, and to take your time to take some classes, maybe get an early internship experience, work with my office on things like interest inventories, and so that you become more informed about your options. And then through your coursework and those internships, have the opportunity to try those options out. It also means, though, to be exploratory sometimes means you come on board with a major in mind. In fact, you might be fairly confident that you know exactly what you want to major in until you start taking classes in that area, or until you have an internship experience and learn what that field is really about. And then it might be time to start exploring. Okay, so students do change their majors. The statistic is the typical college student will change their major 3 times. And sometimes that's the students that come in with the utmost confidence of what they think they want to major in. So, my office is aware of those dynamics, and we're ready to meet you wherever you are in your exploration. So you might have an academic major in mind, but not sure how that will connect to career opportunities, or perhaps you have a career in mind and you're not sure of the best academic major. that will be the path that will get you to that career goal. So wherever you are is where we are ready to meet you and to help you with your exploration.
And I would also just share and kind of complement what Provost Speaker was mentioning. At Wells, we're really fortunate to be a supportive, small community. And part of that really is my part of my role on campus as well. So I tend to be kind of a liaison for students, providing individualized support if students need it, also referring them to a peer tutor or to the Center for Academic and Career Advising for further support or guidance. And I also work with our peer leader program. So incoming students who take our first year seminar at Wells may get connected with a peer leader who is usually an upper class student and can help make that transition a bit easier. So we're fortunate to be interconnected and be able to provide students with a variety of support that, as Linda mentioned, really helps meet you where you're at.
Thank you all. So I want to just point out we have two members of our admission team, April and Melinda, who are in the chat and available as well. And so at this point, we're going to maybe talk a little bit more and answer some questions as they come along. As I was listening to everybody speak to the idea of majors, students changing majors, coming in without a major through the exploratory program or otherwise, would look to our students, and all of you were in slightly different places, certainly in terms of where you are in your studies at Wells, but maybe if you could comment on that process of deciding on a major or majors or a minor, and what kinds of things have been helpful to you in kind of thinking those things through.
I can add very quickly that for my journey at Wells, I was one that came in undeclared initially. So at the time I was assigned an advisor who just was a teacher or professor who was on my original my schedule for the fall semester. So at that point, it wasn't really that clear what I wanted to major in. I was just trying to get a feel for Wells and get a feel for the types of work that's demanded in the classroom. So with that in mind, I just did some exploring in the majors and did some personal exploring as to what I liked and what worked best for me. And then before choosing political science, I adopted international studies as a major. And just through a bunch of different factors, whether that be taking certain classes to meet requirements to graduate on time, or things that may not have been as accessible to me, I was able to just talk through that sort of thing with my advisor, and that sort of shaped the decision. And ultimately, those types of talks and that type of groundwork that I had to do to get to a certain academic standing, I would say that I just felt better doing political science work. So ultimately, I just feel more grounded in doing that type of research and that looking in those fields. But I will say that international studies does have a lot of interesting concepts that cross over to political science, to where when I was making the switch from one to the other, it was more just for practicality and for what I was able to accomplish as a student. I will say though, I was informed by both advisors from international and political science to keep both sort of disciplines in mind when I was going forward with work. So ultimately, advisors will they'll remind you in a sense that you do have to be mindful of other disciplines in the world of academia in order to get a better sense of what you can accomplish and what things work for you as far as major declaration. And going in certain directions with your work. So that was just a little bit of how I got to be a political science major.
I can also share a little bit as well. I am also a political science major, but I'm also a social anth major as well. And when I first came to Wells, I was undecided as well. And I had somewhat of an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't entirely sure. I was very interested in international relations, but I also was very interested in history. I just honestly just liked all of the humanities, but a lot of my professors, even throughout my journey, they were just kind of like, you can't do all of the things, like you can only do some of them. And so that's still like a problem I'm working on. But I remember one of my Wells 100 classes, I took a culture and water course with Professor Olson. And one of my hosts from when I was a prospective student was a Soc Anth major. And I would kind of talk to her about things. And I was telling her how much I really liked the class, and she's like, you should think about majoring in it. I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, I really like my poli-sci class too. She's like, well, you know, you can like double major. And I was like, maybe. And so over the course of taking, just picking out my courses, I started noticing I kind of had done more of the social anth than I had poli-sci. And then I kind of mapped it out with some of my upperclassmen friends, and it was possible for me to do both. And so I ended up doing both. But initially I was more leaning towards poli-sci, but Professor Olson really sucked me back in. And so now I have both, and I waited until the last minute until you're supposed to declare, because I really just wanted to make sure that I was sure. And I had a lot of different talks with professors, alumni, and even seniors that were in my majors. But yeah.
I can speak from the other side of things of coming in, having a idea. Like I came into Wells and I said, I'm going to major in anthropology with a double major in criminal justice. I'm going to be a forensic anthropologist. That is going to be what I am. And I've been thinking that since I was in middle school. I had plans, everything. And then I got, I think it was 3 days into Wells, and I said, no, that's not how it's going to be. And originally Professor Olson was my advisor, and I was in his intro class, and he's great. And I am now nowhere near forensic anthropology, but I still have those connections with the professor. Like Olson's one of my favorite professors on this campus, and I'm nowhere near a anthro-soc major. He's just like the professors on this campus, even if you don't go after the majors that they're teaching, the classes are open to you often. I can take a lot of anthropology classes just because I took intro to anthropology, which was offered to many first years. I'm very happy I was able to take that because there's really fun classes to come after it, like anthropology Hawaii class that could possibly take you to Hawaii. Or I really enjoy his culture and gardens class because we get to talk about plants and gardens, and it's really, really fun. I have no hopes of majoring in it, but it's still something really cool.
If I could just add in terms of a number of you mentioned Professor Olson in particular, our faculty really get to know our students. And it's not just because we're small, but it's because you take multiple classes with a faculty member. So whether or not that's in your major, you just might really like Professor Olson, and you're not an anthropology social anth major, but you really like his classes. And so our faculty are able to see you develop intellectually, academically, just personally over the course of your time during your Wells education. And they get to know you. And they get to know what you say you're interested in, and can help guide you and help you find the common threads between what you're expressing interest in. And perhaps guide you to a certain major or guide you to a certain career, guide you to Linda's office so that she can work with you. And we have our academic advising and our career advising in the same office because we see them so much as so interrelated. And it's not decide on the major, then your career, or vice versa. It's really deciding both together and one informing the other.
I would like to reflect too on what the students were just sharing, which is, their sources of support. And so for some of them, it was specific faculty members or faculty in general, but then Diamond mentioned upperclassmen. And, it was just such a Wells comment because, we really have more of a tiered advising concept. So students all have faculty advisors, and then there are professional advisors coming out of my office that also support the same students. And then really informally, peer advisors. And so, it just made me smile when I heard Diamond mention that, because it was so natural for her to make that comment. And it was just very much a very Wells comment to make, that, there's always somebody to turn to for that support. And sometimes it is your peers. So that was nice.
Diamond, something else you mentioned that I want to thank you for bringing up is Wells 100. And I'm wondering if we could just talk a little bit about what that is and how that fits into the mix of students' transitions to Wells.
Okay, I'm gonna be dating myself a little bit though, because I came in 2017, and so I think you can correct me later because I'm going to use SC 100 and then Wells 100. But so I remember the process for the Wells 100. We had heard some presentations from different faculty members from different departments, and we were able to, based on our interests, rank the courses and choose which ones we wanted to take. And I ended up taking Professor Olson's culture and water course, which was really fun. And it really helped us with writing, doing research, and also just utilizing different forms and methods of citations and writing styles. Particularly for that class, we used APA and also Chicago, because we all come in at different levels and things of that nature. And so it was a really good class for that. And then also just to kind of see if cultural anthropology is up your alley or not. And then for the Wells 100 course, yes, because the other one was SC 100. But for the Wells 100 course, it's just about learning about Wells traditions, and really getting to know people within your class year. I know there were a lot of people that were in my Wells 100 course that were not in my orientation group, and if I had not had that class with them, I might not have known them, or we bonded through that. And some of us worked together on projects, and we also learned a lot in that course too. It was also a lot of writing, becoming better at writing, and even learning about accountability and responsibility as well. I remember some important things that I learned from that class with your mindset and your outlook, and trying to not victimize yourself a lot, and how that kind of can hinder you from progress when it pertains to accountability and doing things and time management and deadlines, which was important as a first year.
Look to maybe Cindy or Linda, you want to talk just a bit about kind of where Wells 100 is headed and our approach there?
Yeah, so we've had some curricular changes since Diamond's first year, in part being responsive to students' needs, and again, meeting them where they are. So our incoming first year students now take a Wells 100 class, which is basically an introduction to college course. It really is helping you start the transition from being a high school student to being a college student. So lots of experience learning about time management, different strategies for being successful in your coursework, everything from how you critically read, take notes, testing, all of that, those types of things through, again, understanding that collegiate level work expects something different from you as a student than your high school work did, and giving you the tools necessary to build your skills, and have a resource there from your instructor, who's one part of the structure of the class. And as Emily mentioned, there's a peer mentor tied to the class as well. And that's a person who then obviously can share their own experience as a student at Wells, but also brings in not just the academic components of transitioning to college, but also the social components. You know, Wells is an institution that has a rich history, over 150 years of it. We have a lot of traditions on our campus in terms of building community and helping students understand those, because from the outside, if you put your anthropological lens on, they can look a little odd or even, but you get to know the institution and what makes a community, and specifically the Wells community. So that's one part of the first year curriculum that helps students transition. And we really do focus a lot throughout our curriculum on the necessity to have good writing skills. It's critical no matter what field you're going into. And it's critical in terms of how you learn. Writing and thinking are so interconnected that we want students to really start off with strong foundation in writing skills, regardless of where you're coming in at. And so we do require a first year writing course.
So that really underscores, you know, the idea of the transition, and college level work is different and the college experience is different. Stefan, you're closest to it in terms of timing, but for any of the students, maybe, you know, what was the biggest surprise or the biggest change for you in transitioning to Wells College?
Okay, so for me personally, I think for me, my biggest challenge will kind of come to writing. That was kind of my biggest challenge. I feel like in terms of living with a roommate, it's not really necessarily a challenge for me because I've been in a boarding school before. So I've kind of have a feel of how it feels like living with someone before. So I think for that aspect, it's not really a challenge for me, but I feel like in terms of writing, more or less, that's where my challenge is, because I'm not really good at writing and it's not really my field. But I think over the time I've improved drastically because of the support and help I've been getting from teachers and people at the writing center who have been helping me with my writing. So that has been a very tremendous and great result for me. But I think all I want to just say is that high school is kind of more or less different from college, because you tend to, think high school is more or less you're under pressure because you have to go to school and there's a teacher in front of you. But for college, you're more or less left on your own to do your own stuff. Most of the time, in terms of academics, most of the time it's your choice and your decision on what to do. Just that the teacher comes in at some certain times just to help you with what you're struggling with, but most of it is you as a student who has to take the time and study and then do what you have to do best and just come out successfully with your degree. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
To sort of like keep this in the theme of transitioning from high school to college, similar to Diamond, started here many years ago. So there have been many changes since my time to how Wells helps incoming freshmen. I will say though that a big part of transitioning from work quality that you'd be doing in high school and work quality that you'd be doing here is that a lot of what you get out of your courses and the experiences that you have here is kind of like driven from what you do independently. I think I think part of that is from small class sizes, which kind of like gives you a more sense of trust with your professors, and with that trust, they kind of expect you to do a lot of like the work and like a lot of like the processes that go into the work on your own. And then even outside of the class, I mean, one more point to that, they will, like when you are doing that kind of work independently, it kind of like encourages you to almost share your ideas or share things that make you think about the subjects at hand. And I think that's what professors typically look for in academic assignments, is an understanding of the material, but also that you have like new, or not even new, but like thoughts that are your own, and you're able to like sort of incorporate that through the work. But even to like the bigger, even to like things outside of the classroom, a lot of it is also independent and driven on like your independent sort of like action taking. So there will be some times where a student may have to submit academic petitions to the registrar, or get their advisor's signature on something that needs to go into the Career Center's office. So I think maybe depending on the high school and how much resources they had, probably had those types of things being like monitored by like an advisor or like a counselor. A lot of the times though, if you do want, these things to happen and these things to be a reflection on your transcript and your grades and your experience in your major, you are going to have to like go into the registrar, get some forms, or go onto the Globe and get some forms and like fill out all the information and make sure there are a lot of like signatures and everything is required. Everything that is required is to be submitted where it's supposed to be submitted. So I say all that to say that you're trusted with like a lot of responsibility, but it's because you have to, in a sense, like do these things in order to progress, as a Wells student. And going back a little bit to the school side of things, like when you are doing some of these things on your own and learning to do some of these things on your own, you kind of get a sense of like, I guess your ideas sort of like take form too. Like you're better equipped to think about, how you're going to improve on the quality of your work or the quality of your ideas. So that's probably a big thing for the transition to school, so high school to college.
And I'll add on just a little bit. I think for me, my biggest thing was, I think mostly it was just figuring out the professors and what exactly they wanted. And I think that I learned very early on that, one, go to TA hours because the TAs know the professors. Don't be afraid to ask the professors questions. They're more than willing to help. If you're too scared, you schedule office hours. They usually have office hours, go there. Or if it comes down to it, you can always go to the provost or Emily, or you can go to Linda and they can help you set up that meeting and bridge that gap. Since being a first year, first semester, it's a little early on, but don't suffer in silence. That's one thing that you don't do. And really read the syllabi. Really read your syllabi and make sure that it's a contract, and make sure you know what you're signing up for. And also don't be afraid to ask for help. If you've bitten on more than you can chew, don't make yourself suffer. You can always incomplete a course, you can always withdraw. Given how many credits you take, also look into that before you do your semester. But just really being easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's a new experience, and sometimes the things that you could handle in high school, you can't handle in college. And just knowing that you're going to grow as a person, and that it's just a different journey. But yeah, that's mostly it.
I just want to say something, that college life is more or less like representation of the real world. So I think coming into college, you need to understand that it's how the real world is going to look like for you, because in the real world, you have to balance work life, hanging out with friends. If you are married, you have to think about that, and if you have kids too. So kind of like when you come to college, have the mindset of coming with a goal and a plan and what you want to achieve after your end of college. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions. One is just a clarification, which is what are when we say office hours, the faculty have office hours, what does that mean? And then after that, a question that gets more to, it really is related, which is, did you find Wells a friendly place when you came? Were other students friendly? Were faculty friendly? Was it easy to make connections, to make friends?
IRA was the most friendly person I met on the first day.
Thank you. Yeah, your RAs are also a great support system as well.
So office hours are when faculty will say they'll be in their office. And that means for students to come by. Not that they'll be in their office and don't want to be bothered, but it's really a time that they set aside outside of the class time to be available to students, to talk with them, to work with them, to help them, to get to know them. So they really want you to come to office hours. I mean, in our Zoom world that we're living in right now, sometimes those office hours are like this virtually. So sometimes, and for many of our faculty, they're actually teaching on campus and they're holding their office hours on campus face to face. So it's a time that they're available for you, and they really want you to come see them. It's not an inconvenience. You're not putting them out. They want you to have that opportunity to have that one-on-one time, that even though our classes are small, you may not feel comfortable asking a question, or maybe the question that you have actually came up after class, after you thought about the material, after you were rewriting your notes or something. And that's a time to go get some additional instruction and guidance.
And just to add on the Wells community and what it actually is like, the Wells community is very friendly. There are so many people a part of the community that are more than willing to help, and they'll even go out their way to help others, the professors especially. There's been so many times where even if I really needed to talk to a professor, I would just pop in and they would be more than willing to hear me out or talk to me or see how I'm doing. And then even just with the students, there are so many students that it's crazy how many people they're able to help. You could even just honestly go on the Wells Facebook page, student Facebook page, and if you need anything, even if it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, there's probably gonna be somebody that'll be like, yeah, I can let you borrow this if you need it, which is pretty cool about Wells, and one of the great things about having such a small, tight-knit community.
I'll quickly add on to what Diamond mentioned about, teachers opening themselves up to their students. It's not standard, but some teachers I've had in the past have included like their personal numbers or their business lines with their syllabi. So that just kind of gets you sort of like a more personalized sort of experience with your advisors. And then there's also a sense that you can come to them if there is something super pressing going on in the academic world or in your personal life. So I will say those, I would say like the teachers especially that did share personal numbers and I was able to get in contact with for a particular issue, those professors always did stick out to me, and they kind of like, they were very like helpful in me like doing well in the class as well as like understanding certain assignments. So just wanted to add that quick note.
We talk about students choosing colleges, colleges choosing students. I think the great thing about US higher ed is there are thousands of colleges in the country. And so there's always a college that's a good fit for somebody. And the reality is every college is not the right fit for every student. Wells attracts students who want to be involved in their education, personally invested in it, and who are looking for that kind of close, tight community. It's not the right place for the student who wants to disappear into the back of a lecture hall, nor is Wells the right place for a faculty member who doesn't want to be bothered with teaching students. And so in the same way that students choose Wells, you have to remember faculty choose Wells too. So our faculty have chosen a life where they are going to know students personally, that they are going to see a student in more than one course. And it's not that our faculty don't do research or serious academic inquiry, they do, and they involve our students in that process. So, I think that's some of what's special about a place like Wells, as you're thinking about that fit.
Gerard, if I can just add on to that, when I'm interviewing faculty to join the Wells faculty, during that process, I'm pretty blunt and direct about, if you don't think of yourself first as a teacher, we're not going to be a good fit, right? That role of a teacher, an educator, has to be core to your identity for you to be really happy at a place like Wells, where you interact with your students on all different levels, and on the personal, in the classroom, in the research labs across campus. But it's really at the heart. Teaching is the primary role for our faculty in terms of how they're evaluated. They have to be excellent teachers, and so it's really important. And so you're right. We're not a good fit for somebody whose preference is to be, in the lab and have a TA teach their classes. We want folks who enjoy being with students and educating them and learning from them. And I think if you talk with most of our faculty, they will comment on that they learn from their students. And it's a really exciting teaching environment, teaching and learning environment to be in.
I would like to jump in and add the phrase student-centered. And actually earlier today, I was having a conversation in my office with my staff about, I had been invited into a classroom today to talk about careers in psychology. And I've been invited into this particular classroom in the past, so I knew what I was going to encounter. And sure enough, I walk into the classroom and the professor's already having that very conversation with the students. This is Professor Gagnon, for those of you that are familiar. And she is so enthusiastic about sharing that knowledge with students that year after year, I have thought, I'm wondering why I'm invited. And every time I start to share something, she's like, yes, and, delivers the information herself. And it's such a unique experience. I've worked at other institutions, and it just it's so warming to see faculty that are involved in that many aspects with their students. And I mean, that is pure, true student-centeredness. And that's something you will experience all over the Wells College campus.
That's probably part of the reason why Professor Gagnon has a signature drink at the grind named after her as well. It's that dedication to students. So let's talk a little bit about experiential learning, which is, I think, another distinctive feature about the Wells educational experience. Why that's important in learning about what you want to do, maybe, or what you don't want to do.
You know, I could jump in and list the rules and all of this, but I would really love to defer to the students. And I was really surprised, Amari, when you were talking about your experiences and how you chose your majors, that didn't come up, because all of the students have had some great experiences. But I do, Amari comes to my mind when I think about experiential learning and how it has informed students. So I want to be quiet and let the students share.
I think what Linda is mostly like referring to is the way that experiential learning kind of has sort of helped me to like think about the prospects of what I could do for a career going forward. And initially, like when I had first sat with Linda, I think it was at some point the spring semester of my junior year. I told her just what I was interested in doing with my poli-sci degree. I was just thinking about using that to get closer towards graduate school in my major or law school. So when I mentioned that to Linda, she made a very important note that alumni are very good sort of like gateways to helping you find some of these career experiences. And one of the very important things about doing an experiential learning sort of project is that you have to keep in mind that you have to like really think like from a personal standpoint, is this the type of service or work that I would like to be doing, you know, going forward? And initially when Linda and I were strategizing for the spring or for the spring summer sort of experiential learning that I would be doing, it was prior to like the COVID-19 pandemic and like the whole backdrop of that. So there were initially steps that people took to get experiences and sort of network with alums for career opportunities, such as like in-person events and like just exchanging information, you know, letting Linda be the mediator for exchanging that information. And unfortunately, we did have to go home, and like we were sent home from that experience, from the COVID experience. But Linda and I like didn't really let that deter like me from trying to do an experience. So she had connected me with a very like kind, very gracious alum who previously recently retired judge for the New York Court of Claims. And I was able to just intern with her virtually while I was home during the summer. And just there, I was able to just learn about how to just like read and sort of interpret sort of text and like bodies of legal writing, as well as just how to do research and conduct myself in that space. And even I was able to like look at a few virtual like court hearings as well. So it was something very interesting because like nobody at that point had really like a proper avenue for doing a non-in-person experience, especially like virtually. But the same principles still sort of apply, which is that like, can you sort of apply, you know, what you're doing in your experience to the types of things you would want to do going forward? And definitely if you have the chance to get connected with an alum and do an experience with them, I think they're sort of your mutual sort of knowledge of being a well student and like seeing them in their career will have like a huge impact on like their thinking process for deciding a career. So ultimately I would just say that like just keeping like just like putting into perspective your role into like that field is a big part of why experiential learning I think is incorporated so much into the Wells experience. But I would just say like it was very unique and very interesting, and I didn't think I would be able to do it as smoothly or as effectively as I did, despite, you know, being socially distanced. The same principles still apply, and like I just like wanted to just keep thinking about that type of sort of career opportunity. So like to cap it all up, like it was a very sort of rounded experience. And if you do in person or virtual, it will be rounded because you are sort of demanded to think about those types of things.
I can talk about my experiential learning. I did a TI, which is also, it's a teaching intern instead of a teaching assistant, for Professor Olson for, funny enough, his culture and water class, which was, it was fun. It was fun, and I had already learned the material, and it was fun being able to help my peers and underclassmen. And I also was able to sway a couple of underclassmen into majoring into socian. So I'm very happy at that influence. But it just, I got, unfortunately, COVID ended the semester a little short and we had to go home. I was going to, Professor Olson gave me the chance to take on creating a PowerPoint and a presentation and just teaching the class, some things that I thought were important, and then also giving me an opportunity to work on my presentation skills and presenting research that I had done 2 years prior. And it would have been a very good opportunity to grow, and it's unfortunate that I didn't get to do it, but just even Professor Olson and I sitting down and being able to say, what do you want to get out of this? What should you work on? What kind of skills do you want to obtain? And him even telling me to kind of, I've had a couple of my professors tell me to look into maybe becoming a professor. Not really sure. PhD is that's a feat. But that was just also, it was just a very great experience, and also working with Linda as well with creating those objectives and goals, and helping me with all the paperwork. And then for my other internship, well, experiential learning that I did, I worked with the census for 2020 during COVID. It was a very interesting experience. At first, I thought it wasn't going to happen, and so I was freaking out because I was like, all right, well, I have to find something else to do. And they called me and were like, are you still interested? And I talked to Professor Tabrizi, and she was like, this is really great, you should do it. And I got a little bit of a taste of what fieldwork would be like. It was political fieldwork, but there were still elements of Anth and Social in there, and I got to actually talk to people. I got to obtain PPI, which is just sensitive data about people. And then when my experience was over, I talked to Professor Olson about it, and I also talked with Professor Chakumbi, and Professor Chakumbi made me write a paper that I was then able to take everything that I had learned so far at Wells throughout the curriculum that I had, and just apply it to the experience that I had, so that I could really reflect and look at how what I'm learning is actually applied to real life experiences.
Thank you both for sharing that. So at this point, I think I want to leave a little space for one of two things. And as we kind of bring the session to a close. So I'm going to ask each panelist, take your choice, your favorite tradition, because we've talked about Wells College and all the amazing traditions that kind of characterize and the culture that students and faculty and staff experience on campus. And it's really hard to put into words what that is. Or if you prefer, advice that you would offer to prospective students, to admitted students. And let me expand that a little further. Or if you'd like, advice for parents and guardians and family members and caregivers, because that's a group as well that may be watching this this presentation. So I'll stop there, and let me start with let's start with Provost Speaker.
Okay, so I think I'll do the advice piece rather than the tradition. So my advice for students would be multi-part. First off, not to panic about choosing a college or choosing a major. Right? To keep it in perspective, it's a decision in your life. It's not the deciding part of your life. And as Gerard mentioned, there are lots of colleges and universities across the country. Not all of them are right for everybody, but you'll find the one that's right for you. And it's not a science. I would really encourage you to come to campus, have a tour, meet our campus community. Most of our students will say that they knew that Wells was right for them when they stepped onto campus. It just felt right, right? So you need both your head and your heart working together in terms of making that decision. And to parents, I would say, you know, college is an investment in your child's future. And we understand that is a large investment, right? But it's an investment that pays off over time in terms of quality of life, right? And yes, having a work life is important, and having our students be prepared for careers is important. And we take us seriously, but we're preparing them for life. We're preparing them not just to make a living, but to create a life. Gerard talked about our mission statement as, you know, we say we educate our students to think critically, to reason wisely, to act humanely. Those are all important elements, but it's really the last part of that sentence, as they cultivate a meaningful life, right? We want our students to be prepared for the world that they will face in the future, which is a world that we know will have lots of change, which is a world that will have them have to interact with lots of different people, have lots of different experiences, change careers lots of different times, because that's the nature of the world we live in, right? So how do you do that? You do that by knowing how to learn, being able to be an independent learner, and being confident that you can do it, that you can do that you're able to, and that you can figure out how you need to learn, and you use your resources and the people who can help you. So that would be my advice to parents.
Thank you. Diamond.
All right. I think that, because I'm struggling to find a tradition, that's my most favorite. I was maybe gonna say like the junior mug one, and mine is like all the way over there, and I was gonna just bring it and show it, but I think that my biggest advice is that, you know, just your academic journey is your own journey, and just make sure you don't have to know everything, and not everything is certain. And sometimes, you know, you might change your major, you might change your mind, or your timeline might not be the way in which you think it should be, but just do what you think is right and what feels right for you, and not what others are doing. Some people have a longer journey than others. So I think that's a really good thing. I wish someone would have told me.
Outstanding. Thank you. Emily.
Since I'm still relatively new to Wells and had to endure COVID and didn't get to experience a lot of the traditions yet, I'm going to kind of follow the advice train. And I would just kind of compliment a bit what Provost Speaker was saying, which is college is really an opportunity for growth. And I think a lot of students, when they're transitioning, are kind of nervous and anxious that they're not sure where that path is going to lead yet, but really just embracing the journey and accessing resources along the way if you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. We are a small, supportive community. Everyone is here to help you and is here to work with you. And again, just embrace the journey and take on different opportunities along the way that will help you grow academically, of course, but also personally as well. Taking on those chances to be an independent person is quite different from experiences that students have had before. So just embracing all of the different things that come along with being in college.
Thank you. Stefan.
Okay, so for me, I would say my favorite traditions is tea time, basically because it's a time where like you can take a break from studies and just have a coffee or tea and then chat with friends and, you know, professors and other students. I think that's really great because though you're coming here to study more or less, it's not everything that has to do with studies. You need to sometimes take breaks and just reflect on life and then have that social life with friends and more or less loved ones. And my advice for students who are coming to Wells, I think when you're coming, you should be able to know how to balance everything, balance your schoolwork and balance your social life and other stuff. And especially those who are going to be doing sports on campus, I feel like that's the most important thing because you'll be going for practice and then you also have assignments to do and you have classes to do and all that. So I think trying to balance everything is the most important thing you need to prepare your mind for before coming to Wells College. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Nash.
So my advice is actually going to filter in with my favorite Wells tradition. So my favorite Wells tradition is this nifty little event called Odd Even. And it is something that has gone back years, hundreds of years in this college's history, and it's going to go on for hundreds of years after me. And basically it's the odd team, so those are students graduating odd ending years, even team, even ending years. And they expect a bunch of competitions, but what really makes the tradition special is how close you get to the people around you, which leads me to my advice. When you first get to college, there's going to be so much happening all at once, and it's going to be very overstimulating, and you're going to be freaked out, and there's going to be so much new around you, and you're new, and you don't know what to do with that. Grab on to the closest strong thing you can find. And if that's a tradition that is asking you to go up to a gymnasium in a purple and yellow onesie and play basketball and scream, so be it, because you're about to find the best friends you will ever have for the rest of your life through it. So just trust the process. Thousands of people have gone through it before you.
Linda.
So I have all kinds of advice, but I'm going to save that for when you're on campus and you can stop by my office and sit with me and have a good chat about it. And instead, I'll share my favorite tradition, which is the bells, the beautiful, beautiful bells. And if you're lucky enough, you'll get to ring them yourself. And you could talk to Nash about that. She's one of our bell ringers. But it's beautiful to hear the bells, whether it's somebody's birthday or different points in the day. So I'm happy to share that.
And Amari.
All right. Can't really say I classify this as like a favorite tradition, but I would remember the other night I was like up writing, and I remembered like many years ago that the senior class on the final day of their classes would like get in their rows and like they would raid like freshman dorms or underclassmen dorms and just like come through a bunch of pots and pans and just bash and make noise, but like it's celebratory. It signifies like the end of like an entire Wells journey, which is pretty cool for them, not for the ones, that have to hear all the banging, but like I think that was pretty like interesting, and I had forgot about it for a while because I hadn't seen it in so long because we didn't have a spring semester last year, and nobody or few people are really sure of what the traditions are going to be this year. And advice in general, I would just echo what senior speaker would say, which is that come to college to kind of get a sense of what you do in life. So, I mean, you don't have to know that right away. No one has to know their major, but like, don't stake, what you do in college too much on what you want to do for a job later on or what you want to be like many years from now. Just kind of like, I don't know, sort of like get to the fundamentals of like things that you like to do and like services you like to perform, and I don't know, just let the process and let the journey sort of unfold and reveal what you need to get out of it. So.
Thank you, Amari, and thank you, everybody. I want to thank our panelists for taking time out today to chat with you, and thanks to everyone who attended. And again, for admitted students, congratulations once again, and welcome to Wells. We have a few other virtual events available to you, which you see in front of you here. And most importantly, and Cindy really talked about this, until you step foot on the campus, you don't know. And so we're here and available to host you on campus now, completely into the summer, and just give us a call or go to wells.edu/visit to schedule your visit. We're looking forward to welcoming you to campus. This is our contact information, and we are all very happy to take questions from you individually. So if you have follow-up questions for us or just want to start a conversation, please do reach out. We look forward to getting to know you better. So once again, thank you, everybody, and have a great evening. Take care.